To the amazing team behind Minecraft, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for creating such an amazing game. A game that has crafted the space to create so many memories. A sandbox to build, survive, and thrive. I can't imagine a version of myself without this game in my life. I first got my hands on Minecraft back in 2011 at just 9 years old, and the fact that we are still getting free updates over 15 years after release, well, there is a reason it is one of the best-selling games of all times. But as much as these updates, or now drops, have added to the game, they have also played an unintentional role in taking away from the game too. However, as much as we greatly appreciate the ability to pick and choose almost any version of the game to play, one must ask, short of the April Fool's snapshots and for large mod packs, why does a large portion of the players choose to play incredibly old versions of the game, and why do many players who try modern Minecraft get stuck in a two-week phase before going to do something else? I could discuss the most well-known version split of the 1.9 combat update, how many players and servers stayed fundamentally on 1.8 because of the disliked changes to combat, then how later on Jeb started work on some combat test snapshots as a best of both worlds, which although viewed quite positively from the community, has had no updates for the last 4 years. No. What I want to talk about is a slower, deeper, and less obvious crumbling of the player experience, where features, due to the additions and changes to surrounding mechanics, have become broken, overpowered, or obsolete. Not always enough for players to explain why, but enough for them to feel it. And that can be enough for someone to choose to play an older version of the game or another game completely, and miss out on all the newer features, because something about modern Minecraft feels off. And even then, of these newer features, many have started to feel useless upon release, as I see a desire to continue adding new content to keep engagement up, but an unwillingness to modify the core gameplay in any meaningful way in an attempt to not disturb that lightning in a bottle situation Minecraft has. However, as a result, means the new content has little value to offer and ultimately is collectively named by the community bloat. Take enchanting as an example of one of the core mechanics of progression within survival Minecraft. What started off as a simple and fun, yet optional or low grindy addition to your best gear. But each update and added feature to this mechanic only considered what was in the game at the time without tweaking the existing features to fit. The enchanting table does not consider enchanted books when adding enchants. The anvil does not account for mending with its 40 level cap, and mending was added before the 1.14 villages would make them far more common than originally intended. Gear as loot at this point is rather useless. The grindstone encourages enchant rolling, XP farms have become far more powerful since the early days, and now we have enchants that are completely non-renewable. All these additions and more have turned enchanting into a formulaic and tedious, yet almost necessary chore for many players to finish that now rarely even uses the enchanting table before they even start playing. This is not to say that any of these additions are bad, but in their current state, it has left the final, full enchanting mechanic an incohesive mess of cobbled together ideas that end up taking away from the player experience. Or take a look at the different forms of transportation. People used to ride horses or make long minecart tracks through their world, but now I rarely see either being used. And do I need to remind you that the furnace minecart exists, as that is still not been added to Bedrock Edition? If the addition of sprinting was a diamond sword hit to walking, horses and minecarts, then the elytra, especially with its firework propulsion, was a supercharged creeper to the face of them and everything else transport related. The new saddle recipe and improvements to the lead are nice, but not yet enough to justify using horses. and the minecart experiments were a step in the right direction, but like the combat snapshots, feel cancelled just before they could have made a positive impact. The new Happy Ghast is good, as even though it allows for essentially creative flight and multiplayer fun, its large size, slow speeds, and that it is a living creature that you can't just place into your inventory when not in use, are meaningful drawbacks that prevent it from becoming the new Elytra. It takes on a role of specialization that empowers the player's choice when they wish to use it. And to see this emphasis mentioned within your recent video on the creation of the Happy Ghast sparks joy within me. Adding new stuff is great, but so is making sure that all the existing things stay maintained and exciting to use. I understand that Minecraft is a sandbox filled with so many mechanics that cross over and interact into a giant web that make it worth more than the sum of its parts. I understand that it has an insanely large player base with so many different playstyles that all need to be accounted for when adding new content. I understand that Minecraft has over 15 years of history, is played on 2 main platforms, and has a dedication to keep what makes Minecraft great throughout all of its updates. And you need someone on your team that can balance all of this if you want your game to last for the 50 to 100 years as you yourselves have stated you wish to reach. I know this, as I have played Minecraft practically my whole life. I started back in beta, watched it grow, played through its downtime, and was there when it had a resurgence. I have spent so many hours watching Minecraft YouTube. I have played a surplus of survival worlds, putting a different spin on it each time. I've spent countless hours in creative mode, especially within the area of redstone, creating masterpieces like Bad Apple, chests, hidden bases, and other stupid, fun projects, which then got me into programming, starting with Java of course, and now I have a Bachelor of Software Engineering majoring in game programming. Then one day, I decided to make another YouTube video, containing some of the ideas I had that I felt could potentially improve many of the issues I had with Minecraft, including but far from limited to the enchanting and transportation systems as previously mentioned. What I wasn't expecting was for it to hit the algorithm, getting over 100,000 views in just over a month, with many comments saying things along the lines of, "Someone make this into a mod," and "Bro needs to work for Mojang." So over the course of the next year, with a few more videos going over other ideas I had for the rest of the game, I started working on a mod to turn these theoretical ideas into something you can play yourself. As I continued to make small but targeted changes to nearly every part of the game, while trying my best to keep that vanilla feel, then making adjustments based on community feedback, I managed to release a working version of 1.20.4, and I have continued to update and add to it since. And the reception of those that have had a chance to play it has been overwhelmingly positive. So now I ask you, Mojang, to make that second popular comment come true. I am not just some fan who wants to work at Mojang just because I think it would be cool, although I think it would be cool. I am someone who sees Minecraft for what it is, and understand how it works, who can mine up its flaws and craft up creative solutions to make the game even more fun. I have spent the last year going through Minecraft's code, implementing and testing new ideas to improve the game, and I have a community of people who would vouch for me if given the opportunity. Being only a recent graduate, I may not have the years of industry experience you might seek out for a traditional hire, but what I offer has a unique value that you will not find in many other places. And regardless, I have to admit that I also am just in need of a job. And in the same way you have stated that you have no intention of using generative AI in your development process, I never have and refuse to touch ChatGPT or the likes to help with idea generation, code development, or writing a new resume for every job application to contain all the key buzzwords, for their ATS AI to scan and just delete before any human ever lays eyes on it. The current job market is really not in a good place right now, especially for entry-level or software positions. So rather than only applying endlessly to jobs I never hear back from, I have decided to place more eggs in this particular basket in hopes of landing my dream job, to work on and shape the game that shaped my life. You need me, and I need you. You know my Minecraft username, so I'm sure you have my email. After all I have done, if you still don't want me, that's fine. I would just appreciate something more than automated rejection notices. Then, if anyone else is in a position of hiring, then please, I am available and in need of a job, and sooner rather than later. Yours sincerely, Green Jab.